Malcolm, on your trip abroad, you said you sensed a feeling of great brotherhood.
While I was at Mecca making the pilgrimage, I spoke about the brotherhood that existed at all levels and among all people who were there on that Hajj, who had accepted the religion of Islam. And I pointed out that for what it had done, what the religion of Islam had done for those people over there, despite their complexion differences, that it would probably do America well to study the religion of Islam, and perhaps it could drive some of the racism from this society as it has driven racism from the Muslim society. When I was on the pilgrimage, I had close contact with Muslims whose skin would in America be classified as white, and with Muslims who themselves would be classified as white in America. But these particular Muslims didn't call themselves white. They looked upon themselves as human beings, as part of the human family, and therefore they looked upon all other segments of the human family as part of that same family. Now, they had a different look or a different air or a different attitude than that which is reflected in the attitude of the man in America who calls himself white. So I said that if Islam had done that for them, perhaps if the white man in America would study Islam, perhaps it could do the same thing for him.
Let's see if Pearl Soul, you have to wear that too?
Yeah, of course. How am I going to break this down if I'm not in my proper attire as a racist?
Because while Islam isn't racist, Muslims can be. Islam outright rejects racism. It teaches justice and equality. And interestingly enough, it does so without being colorblind. The Quran shows us that diversity is a good and positive thing.
You fucking monkeys, you're really mad because we destroyed you guys in this rap. Abba and Preach are a bunch of and I'm here to make fun of the blacks. Let's go, motherfucker. Woo! Let's go, Abba and Preach, you we destroy you bitch ass niggas. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
So you can't tell me that Malcolm all of a sudden went to Mecca and had some tea with some white folk and got convinced that the world was going to be better. Not the Malcolm that I know. I want you to listen to me well. I've been to Mecca about 5 to 7 times. Malcolm went to Saudi Arabia in 1959, not in 64. He went and preceded Elijah Muhammad there. He saw white Muslims in Jeddah. He didn't go to Mecca. He was invited to go to Mecca. But he said he did not want to be the first in the nation of Islam to go to Mecca. He wanted his leader to have that privilege, so he did not go and deferred that privilege to his leader, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But he saw in Jeddah white Muslims. So to come back now and say that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad lied when he said no devils go to Mecca. No devil can go to Mecca. Now wait a minute. I thought you were saying that he called white people devils. Yeah, those that act like devils. But those that bear witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger, you have no right to call that kind of human being a devil, because the Quran said evil is a bad name after faith. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad sat down at his table with white Muslims and fed them and talked to them and treated them with honor and respect, as well as Christians who knew how to respect him. He respected and honored them. And he taught us never to mistreat another human being, no matter what their color is. Is that right? Now listen.
That too. But for some reason, particularly evangelical, like the really right-wing evangelical Christians, the Donald Trump, the folks that are like hanging out with the Donald Trump, that's how he actually won office. His whole election was about the Muslims. Gotta protect us from the Muslims. Let's ban the Muslims. And his base loved that. Like, that was their thing. We're gonna protect this nation. And what that does is, for the Muslims that aren't here, we dehumanize them so we could be like, we might have a war with Iran. And people are like, yeah, of course, because, you know, what we know is those are bad people. And then for the people who live here, we somehow become the enemies of the state. And so people start looking at us like we're not part of the American society when we have been. And one of the things that is important to me is that as a Muslim, of course, my parents are not born here, but Muslims been in this country. I mean, we have the lineage of the Muhammad Alis and the Malcolm X's, and we have lineage that goes back to enslaved Africans. As you know, in Africa, there wasn't Christianity that many, centuries ago. And a lot of the folks that were forced to come here were Muslims. And so for me, that's also my lineage. Even though I'm not African American, my lineage is of enslaved African Muslims who came here. And somehow they, living under the watches of slave masters, they were able to hold that in their heart. So when they became semi-free, that's how Islam spread in America. That's how when my immigrant parents or grandparents came here, they were able to be like, yo, salamu alaikum, I'm a Muslim. Like, my parents didn't have to sacrifice that much to be Muslims in America because there was already mosques when they got here. There was already a community. There was already a legacy of, Elijah Muhammad and, Malcolm X and the larger black kind of Muslim movement in America. And so that's also part of my story.
Yo, Prince is like it looks like a monkey. You should see him build momentum. What the Yo, every time this thing, I got a problem with you. Imagine them. Yo. Nigga looks like a monkey. Preacher's over there looking like Magilla Grill and Donkey Kong having a baby. Like, what's going on? Prince like uses his head. Look at.
You won't treat them with respect when you encounter them in your workplace, and you won't value their contributions. If you come with the assumption that Black people don't know much about Islam, you'll treat them in a patronizing way, and you'll deny yourself the possibility of learning from them and growing collectively together. Racism harms the person with the prejudice just as much as it does the person impacted. It's a spiritual disease, and we've got to get rid of it. So this Black History Month, let's re-examine our biases, and let's work towards living the true message of Islam. It's very clear that Islam stands against racism. God calls on us to treat other human beings with respect and dignity, and to strive towards goodness together.
You can't sit there and blame systematic racism and all these other stupid ass social buzzwords for why you're not where you want to be. You can't. When you have people that come into this country that don't even speak a lick of English, that end up owning businesses, end up making money, end up becoming millionaires, etc. And people over here crying about, oh, systematic racism. Oh my God, no, this is fucked up. I don't get the same opportunities. You got people coming here from China, from Africa, from foreign countries that can't even speak the language, and they figure it out. What's your excuse? That's all I'm saying. But what I am saying is that we can't sit here and cry about the past, about what happened. We got to become better and understand that we got to look at the opportunities that we do have versus what we don't have. A lot of people are living in poverty that happen to be colored because of their own fucking choices, not because of their color of their skin or where they grew up socioeconomically or anything else like that. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all niggas. I dealt with all the same shit you did, and I'm not gonna sit here and cry about systematic oppression, this other fuck shit. Stop being a fucking pussy, man. That's what it comes down to, because I've suffered the same shit you guys have, and I chose not to. Matter of fact, I have even more excuses, because not only did I get it for being black, I also got it for being Muslim. I also got it from speaking Arabic. I also got it because the way I look. So I was being made fun of, being called a fucking terrorist on one end, and then also being called a fucking black guy on the other end, and being made fun of for being both.
Nigga puts on the song, Lady Gaga. Yes, man, it's gonna be okay. These niggas are close to me. Gonna be okay. What the fuck is going on? Welcome. Gonna be okay. Gonna be okay. Gonna be okay. Wait, Opal.
Yeah, he's chewing his Ethernet.
They talked about the window.
Hey, Reach. Yo, Reach, you're overdosing on the warrior gene, bro.
Fat ugly white. I need to dance. I need to get the.
That's in my language too, actually.
See, you need to put on a seatbelt.
Stop, Reach. I could KO you, but don't fucking throw that spear. These are disgusting animals. That's why they look like animals. These guys are fucking animals, bro. Dude, he fucking runs with all fours like a fucking animal.